Rafika, what's going on?
It is officially week 40 of 52 weeks of focus. Almost to week 50. We're working our way up to week 50. We hope you guys enjoyed your weekend this past week. You're preparing for the work week. And that we hope you guys had blessings upon blessings this past week, or some breakthroughs anyway. I know me and Phil went to Travis Green's album release last night, along with some other amazing artists. Corinne Hawthorne was amazing, Kurt Carr, Jonathan Nelson, the contestants from Sunday's Best. It was a lot of good songs, a lot of good fellowship, a lot of good worship. If he's ever in your area, I recommend you go see him.
Yeah, definitely. And also too, they had some DJs in there that were pretty good, man. Like I said, it's crazy how far gospel music has come, or contemporary gospel music have come, and then they've also kind of mixed in some hip hop sounds, some contemporary R&B sounds, and just the production of music is like super dope. So that's more so what I'm into when it comes to music, and I was definitely pleasantly surprised to have heard the music that I heard last night. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, it was. So this week, and going into week 40, and considering the weather is changing, seems like daily it goes from 80 degrees to 50 overnight. The perfect topic for this season is accepting seasons of accepting seasons of change. We thought that we go through many seasons of change, but we don't necessarily know what those seasons of change may be or what they mean. So our goal today is to show you through 4 quick tips, like we always do, and we'll let you get on with your day. So when we're in seasons of change, you sometimes wonder, about your previous season or your current season or your future season, and you don't really want to sit in your current season because you're ready to move on past that difficult time. Just starting off with the first topic, not the first topic, but the first tip, which is seasons of change begins with a persistent thought. Again, that's the first mini title is the seasons of change begins with persistent thought. Starting with Daniel 2:21, it says, "And he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding." It says right up front that God changes the times. God changes the season. God changes our moods. God changes our emotions. God changes our surroundings. And when it comes to the season of change, there may be a persistent thought or theme that keeps coming up in your life, and you don't necessarily know what it means. For believers who are walking closely with the Lord, His Spirit has a way of repeatedly nudging our minds as a way of directing us. So it may be a gospel song that you keep hearing or that you've heard every day for 2 weeks. It may be a dream that you're having or had that keeps recurring, but you don't necessarily know what it means. It may be a person that keeps speaking a word to you or a specific Bible verse, and wherever you go, you hear that Bible verse. Seasons of change usually gives a signal of persistence, and sometimes it's repetitive. And God, constantly, sometimes God constantly, will nudge you, ever so lightly to get your attention and let you know, hey, something's about to change. Whether that's good or bad, He gives us heads up in terms of when something or a season may be headed our way. And it can come, like I said, in many forms, and it can happen over a month time frame, or it can happen over a year time frame. But you have to be spiritually in tune to be able to, see that persistent thought or theme happening. I know for the last 2 weeks for me, every morning when I've gotten in the car, in terms of, I always listen to gospel going to work because I have to mentally get in a space of peace before I go to work. And one of her favorite songs is "You Know My Name," and it never fails. Every time I get in the car going to work, whether I'm on the way to work or I turn my car on, her song is playing. That's what I mean by a persistent theme. I'm not sure exactly why God keeps letting me hear that particular song or keeps ministering, to me in terms of "You Know My Name," but I think he's letting me know that he hasn't forgotten about me. And that what I've been praying for, what I've been going through is temporary. So just look for little things like that. Or you could be looking at TV and you have this commercial that keeps coming up on something that you've been praying on. And it may be, you're trying to lose weight and you have, these smoothie commercials or, Atkins or whatever Weight Watchers that keeps coming up. Or you could be praying for expansion in your family and all you see is like baby commercials and baby shows and babies' names and whatever else. So just keep that in mind. You be spiritually in tune in terms of what's going on around you, because God will bring a sign to you whether you like it or not. Did you have anything to say?
No, it's good.
Okay.
It's good.
All right. Moving on to tip 2. Told you we would be before you long. Every season is meant to grow you. Again, that is tip 2, which is every season is meant to grow you. As the Ecclesiastes, oh goodness, I can't talk today. Ecclesiastes through chapter 3 and 1 says, "There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens." There is a time and season for everything. There's a time to grow. There's a time to expand. There's a time to sit still. There's a time to stay where you are in your season. Although your current season may not be comfortable, it may be meant to stretch you in a weak area of your life. Sometimes God will sit us still to force us to work on an area that we need to improve on, or an area that keeps or is a reoccurrence within our life. And if God doesn't sit us still and sit us there until we get it, then we will try to move on to another season, and that weakness will continue to come up. And that weakness can be so many things in your life. It could be, being afraid to speak in public. It could be scared to, be around a crowd, or it could be scared to travel abroad, or it could be scared to grow spiritually. Sometimes God wants to grow us, but we are hesitant because we are comfortable where we are in the season that we are, and we don't want to change. And as humans, we get used to a routine. We get used to day-to-day, activities, and when we're kind of thrown off, that sometimes upsets us, or it throws off the season that we're in. Your current season may require patience from you. You may be in that season for 2 months. You may be in that season for 2 years. You may be in that season for three weeks. It all depends on when God wants you to move on to that new season. And it all depends on your growth. And that growth may be to grow spiritually. It may be to grow mentally. And also, conquer those addictions and stuff you may have physically. Such as like overeating or not eating as healthy as you need to or want to. Your current season has a purpose that may take time to be revealed. So in order to grow in your season, you have to sit in your current season, take in all that you can, and grow in all areas, and accept what may go wrong, accept what may go right. And don't be afraid to do things like journal through that season, because I know writing for me works, and sometimes I'll sit here and I'll go through Pinterest and I'll look at different things and quotes, because those quotes sometimes speak to me. I don't post a lot of the quotes that I see, but it helps me to get through that low moment that I may be having. Or you can actually pray about it. You don't have to necessarily have a prayer room. You don't necessarily have to have a prayer corner. You don't necessarily have to be within a prayer group. You can just pray where you are. I know I've gotten in the habit of, before every meeting, I pray. Before I go walk into work, I pray. On the way to work, I'm praying. And sometimes that's the only time that you really have throughout the day, and that's okay. Because God doesn't give you a specific way to pray. As long as you're talking to him on a consistent basis, then you'll be fine. You'll be good. And every season pushes you and stretches you because God knows where that next season will take you. So don't be scared, or try not to be scared of the current season you're in. Although it may be difficult, you may feel like giving up, just stay the course because the end result will be worth it. Did you have anything to say?
Oh, that's pretty good.
All right, so those are my 2 points. I want to move it over to Babe for the last 2 points.
And as my wife said, the seasons of change, it's difficult because I know we get into a routine of knowing what's coming and a predictability within our current season, and we have to kind of calibrate with the coming of new seasons, or the fear of new seasons coming, with the fear of change and that fear of trying to figure it out all over again. And hopefully, definitely those first 2 points speak to that. Point number 3 is there's a reason for every season. I know typically we hear this around the Christmas holidays and holidays in that New Year time period. But it's very important that we actually get into what that means. So we're going to go to John 13, chapter 7 verse, and it says, Jesus replied to him, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but you will fully understand it later." So in those times where we're going through things that are difficult in our lives, whether it be internally or whether it be externally, whether it be something that you can see or something that you can't see, we have to understand that no matter what comes in our path is allowed to affect us because of God. And because of that, that is there for my immediate word is say enjoyment, but all the time it's not fun to go through it. But he's doing that to build us. He's doing that to grow us, as my wife just said. Also, God calls us to different seasons for different purposes. So what I've understood in my brief time involved with the military lifestyle is that different roles, there are different roles for different locations that you are, and that can be mentally or even that can be spiritually. As a teacher, I have the opportunity to teach kids in different places of the United States. Wherever we go, that's where I'll be teaching, and my purpose or my role changes depending on where we are. And a lot of time, God has us on assignment for a particular time and a location to serve what He wants you to serve, and where you want to, where He wants you to serve, and not necessarily where we want to be. And it's very important that we understand that, because once we do understand that, we have to serve with urgency in the current area that we are in. You never know who you'll meet, and you never know who you'll impact by doing God's work at the place that you are in right now. All right? Because what you're doing in this particular space, whether it be mentally, physically, or emotionally, may be serving a bigger purpose than your own. And that's something that I continuously have to remind myself of. Even though when it's uncomfortable for me, I have to make sure that I am remaining aware of my purpose in that particular place in that particular time. All right. Also, sometimes the reason is to teach us, challenge us, correct us, heal us, grow us, or strengthen us. All right. So, as I said before in the last point, there are many different reasons why seasons change. All right. There are many different reasons. oftentimes we try to figure out why seasons are changing, and we actually miss the blessing in the change. There might have been some things that were going on that you were comfortable with that were harmful for you, and God may be shaking it up for that, or God may be taking away something so you will strengthen in other areas because you're leaning on it too much. Or it may be a situation where you are in a terrible situation and you don't even know it, and God may be switching it up to save you, even though it is less predictable. We have to understand that change is going to always happen because God is always working on us. And no matter what the change is, no matter how it comes, it is important for us to take it as God directing us. All right, we have to take that direction from Him and be teachable in that change, because if things change, He's going to allow us and grow us in ways that we didn't even realize until we make it through. But if we're pouting and getting upset about certain changes, we can't really get involved in the blessing that may be going on. All right. And last point for number 3, He carefully crafts each season to fulfill a specific purpose in our lives as a whole. Okay, so I can take being married, for instance. I've been fortunate enough not to have like a terrible dating past, but every failed relationship that I've ever had was building a part of myself and preparing me for the marriage that I'm now in. Now, was everything peachy and great and amazing? No, because there's a reason why that's the past. But I'm also grateful for that, because if it was not for those changes in seasons, which sucked along the way, I wouldn't be prepared to embark on this marriage journey that I'm on. Also, when it comes to sports, the things you do in the summer, and the run, and the hills, and the sprints, and the weights, and even with just weight loss, the things that you do day one, they suck. All right, but you're also always building to get to a finished product, and that's what God is doing with us through our lives, whether it be mentally, emotionally, or physically. Okay, so that was number 3. Did you have anything? All right. Last point is probably one of the more important points of the entire video, and it is: do not compare your season to others' seasons. All right, I'm gonna say that again. Do not compare your seasons to other seasons. Okay, so we'll go to Mark chapter 5, verse 36, and it reads: As soon as Jesus heard the word that was spoken, he saith unto the ruler of the synagogue, he saith unto the ruler of the synagogue, be not afraid, only believe. Don't shame yourself for being. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and knock this out. My bad. Let's start that over. All right. So, all right. Mark 5, chapter 36 reads: As soon as Jesus heard the word that was spoken, he saith unto the ruler of the synagogue, be not afraid, only believe. So, one of the biggest things that we as believers and unbelievers have to understand is that everything God does for us is for us. Okay, and by that logic, that means everything He does for everybody else is for everybody else. We get so wrapped up into what we have and what we don't have that we miss the journey. Number one, the journey I'm involved with it, because the journey is actually in the blessing, not the actual end goal. And we have a tendency of downgrading ourselves because we don't have what everybody else has. And that, to me, is the number one path to the depressions, the unfulfilled, feelings, the feeling alone, because we're constantly comparing ourselves to everybody else. Okay, number one, we have no idea what is going on behind the scenes. All right, the opposition is the king of deception. He's the king of allowing you to see a snapshot or that one sparkle in this event, while ignoring all the hell they had to go through to get to that particular point, or all the wrong and the deceit that they've done to get to that point. Okay. Also, we can't shame our own selves for being in a particular season of our lives, because when we do, we get in a habit of rehearsing the hurt that we've been going through instead of learning from it, instead of using this particular season to grow. We use it to soak, and we use it to remind ourselves of what we're not doing instead of learning what we should be doing. So it's extremely important. It's extremely important for us to understand that we cannot progress while comparing ourselves to others. We can't do that. All right, we're not only stunting our own growth, but we're not even giving ourselves a chance to grow. So, also, there's no shame in waiting on God. So, as this video kind of flows, you guys will see that God changes things for us. All right, and we have to be cognizant of that. We also have to be humble enough to receive the change. All right, we have to receive the change as it is a blessing, as it is growth, as it is a healing. We have to receive it as that, because if we don't, we put ourselves in this area of discontent because we haven't received it as that positive thing that it is. And then we become ashamed of not necessarily God, but ashamed of what God has done for us. And we all know that anything God does for us is for the best of us. Okay, and we have to make sure that we're cognizant of that at all times, even when it's difficult. We have to understand that God, everything that God does is for me. All right. Also, we shouldn't feel embarrassed to admit that we aren't exactly sure where we're headed. And I think for me personally, once I took that particular pressure off of myself, things kind of opened up. There's no shame in being out here lost. Okay. As a matter of fact, the hardest part of being lost is actually admitting that you're lost. Because when we admit that we are lost, we're admitting that, wait, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. That's actually quickly become my favorite phrase. Hey, I don't know. Lord, I don't know. Student, I don't know. Principal, I don't know. Supervisor, I don't know. Tell me, please. Because once we give up that facade of always knowing where we're going, how we're going, we allow God to enter into our situation and guide us. But we can't always be in front all the time. Actually, matter of fact, God is always in front of us. So there's going to be times where you're not going to know. All right, but if we continue to act like we do, we're just going to probably get ourselves in more trouble until we get to that point of humbleness and submission to God. So, did that make sense?
Makes sense.
All right, cool. And last point, a lot of us miss our seasons of change or opportunities during our seasons of change because we want the whole picture. But the last point of the video is God reveals his plans to us step by step. In this journey, one thing I've learned is, is one foot literally in front of the other. You can have dreams, you can have aspirations, you can have these amazing plans, but if you don't follow those plans step by step, you're gonna struggle. Can't take 2 steps, can't skip 5 steps. You have to make sure you take things step by step. And there's an accountability. Life has a tendency of serving accountability in a very strong yet immediate way, and quietly too. If we don't do things, if we don't do the things that we're supposed to do, there's an accountability that comes along. And although God gives us new mercies every day, he gives us blessings every day, he gives us the sun up, and he takes the sun down. If we are not patient enough within our faith, within our efforts, within whatever it is he has for us, that accountability will hit you. It will hit you hard. And there'll be nothing you can do about it, because at the end of the day, it's on you. You have to be patient enough, and you have to be persistent enough to pursue what God has for you in order to reap the blessings or reap the benefits of the blessing that He has set up for us. Okay? So, yeah. That was it. Okay, cool. So, did you want to do the recap, or?
You can do it.
Okay, cool. So, as a recap, of course, we're talking about accepting seasons of change. Okay. And point number one was seasons of change begins with a persistent thought. Okay. So as we accept things as they change, there is a persistence that must, like, although everything around us change, there's a persistence in thought that must happen. All right. In order for us to accept that change as it is. All right. Kind of self-explanatory right there. Okay. Number two, every season is meant to grow you. All right. Every season, every time something changes, understand that God's just putting a little chink in that armor, just kind of make sure you adjust it in a certain way as you can keep going. Okay. Like I said, we have to receive it as such. We have to definitely receive it as that in order for us to feel the benefits of the particular change. All right. Number three is there's a reason for every season. It is not for us to decide once it happens. It's not for us to be upset about, or it's okay to be upset, but don't soak in it. Don't miss your blessing because you're so distracted by the change. All right, we have to make sure that we're aware that God is always working on us, for us, and we have to accept things as they come. All right, and lastly, and probably most importantly, do not compare your season to anybody else's. All right, everybody on this earth is on assignment.
Yes.
And just because your assignment does not look like everybody else's, that does not mean you are less. Does not mean you are like not doing it correctly. It just means that it just looks different for them. And more importantly, you don't know what their assignment is. Okay, so definitely hope you guys kind of enjoyed everything.
Yeah.
The energy is love. Feeling not like myself, but prayer is good. Prayer works, and we'll continue on that end. For me, anything you want to say?
In terms of seasons of change, as Reverend Wise said today, she said you have to be teachable. That's something that kind of stuck with me because at times, it's hard to accept change in any area of your life, but sometimes people come into your life and situations happen to teach you. So just keep that in mind when you're in different seasons and when your new season comes, that it may be a teaching season or teachable moment for you. So that's it. And feel free to share. We switched things up on the Facebook page. We are actually sharing the YouTube link now to our page. So if you want to watch our video all the way from the first of the year till now, you can. And our wedding videos on there and relationship videos on there too from when we were in Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
So just feel free to check it out, provide feedback, share it, subscribe. And thank you again for your continued support and comments. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Right.
Thank you guys.
So I'm going to pray us out, and that's it for today. All right, God, I would like to thank you for allowing us to come in your presence again. I would like to thank you for allowing us to continue to go in and out of our seasons of change and continue to mold us and guide us according to your will, and that you grant us patience in our season and our future season, and also the strength to let go of those things that may be holding us back or people. And I also ask that you continue to bless those who may be struggling with things known and unknown, and praying for the homeless, those deployed, those who may be under foster care right now, or those who are praying for expansion in one area of their life or the other. I ask all of these things in your precious name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys. I'll see you guys next week for our week 41. We're 1 week closer to Thanksgiving and 1 week closer to Christmas.
Food.
It's almost 2020.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna be tired the next one because we got the only 10 miles coming up. So
Yeah, so if we're a little out of it on Sunday, that's why.
Pray for
Because
us.
we will be running Sunday morning. Early Sunday morning. Probably 7-ish, I guess. Gotta look at the time again. But yeah, so you guys have a great week. And also, Babe's birthday was on the 1st of October.
yeah,
So he turned a year older.
31 of them things.
So if you want to wish him late belated birthday wishes, do that too. But yeah, he had to stand up in church today. Anyway, all right. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.
See ya.